My next guest, I'm actually going to play a little clip of him. He has got a massive reggae influence as well in his comedy. But most importantly, I love how he uses it in his comedy, and he gives a different aspect to it. So let me just sort myself out
Cartel
here.
then and now is different. Obviously, because of jail, that would do that to you. But he would be so articulate, and that's why people loved him, because you would hear everything he would say, and it would be so clear. We not key where you're bad from, all the ends where you're drunk from. Like from the back, it gunshot, make you fall like the bridge over London. If you ever listen to Cartel now, you can tell he's in prison, because now every time he's on the track, he sounds like he's whispering so the warden can't catch him. I want love you, baby. I want to give you some good cocky.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of the comedy's great circuit of the great.
He's funny. I like that video. Yo, what's good, bro? You good?
I'm good. I respect you. First things first, man. Did you hear the interview with Maccabee? I was just speaking to you.
No, I've had admin work I had to do, so I started getting ready about 10 minutes ago, so I couldn't listen in beforehand. I'm so sorry.
And I saw it. The reason I asked that, because I know that a lot of some of your set, not a lot of it, but some of your set does refer to some of the old time reggae artists. But you are familiar with Maccabee, the artist.
Yeah, of course.
No, I don't take things for granted, you know, because we've got reggae artists out here who don't know who Spike Lee is. You understand what I'm saying? So
I know who you're referring to on that one. Hey.
Yeah. I wanted to dash my drink. Anyway, that's another story for another day. Aurie Styla in the building. What's going on, King?
I'm cool, bro. What's going on? How are you?
I love the backdrop.
With Thor and the Avengers, yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to have this conversation about Marvel and DC, but we're going to talk about you first. Your tour is I'm looking at the dates. When do you get time to sleep?
I don't. I've had to pull one of my preview shows, which was supposed to be on Sunday, just so I could get time to catch up. And that's not even because the tour started. It's all the admin before the tour. So I have to schedule it in. On tour, though, it's actually easier for me because it's maybe 3 or 4 days in the week that I'm on the road. I go and do the show. I go to the hotel and I rest, or I drive back home, wake up the next day, go and do it again. But the daytime, I get to slow down. It's everything leading up to the tour that gets tiring, because of all of the admin, all of the sorting out the merch and traveling with the opener, my tour manager. All of that, the traveling is easy, but the sorting everything out, the logistics with that is the tiring bit. So as soon as we hit February, I'd say midway through February, when we're in our stride, that's when it will start to feel a lot more easy and comfortable because you're in a routine and everything's just go. Like a 9-5, you go to work, come back. Now is when it's tiring. That's why I sound like this.
You sound a bit woodrish.
You know what I'm saying? We're the on tour right now, seeing. Yeah, man, we have to get everything ready and sort out now.
I played the clip of you talking about Vibes Cartel.
Yes.
Was that the clip you got actually someone commented? Was it one did he comment on that? Did he? Or someone
Cartel? So Cartel himself, I'm going to say allegedly because we know where he is and should he be able to use a phone. Allegedly, Cartel went on, he reposted the video on his social media. Then he followed me because he liked it. He thought it was funny and it was obviously referencing him. So he was like, this is great. And yeah, he just enjoyed it. And this is funny because there was people commenting on the in the comment section of mainly on TikTok, 1 or 2 on Instagram, but they were commenting, yo, you're not for this the teacher, man. Yo, that's enough rude, man. Now I disrespect for that, man. I the teacher, man. Gaza for life and all of that they were doing. And everybody else would like reply to them going, you know that this is a joke. I don't like, you know that it's not him really getting onto people negatively. It's all for fun. As soon as Cartel reposted it, I gone and found one of the comments, like, and I said, so the teacher reposted it. Wagwan. Like, how do you feel now? Kind of thing. And nothing was ever said back. But yeah, he was the one who, about him, reposted the clip. Everyone else, I think, were older or don't use social media like that. So if they saw it, they never said anything. But he was the one that really put it up and said, yeah, I like it, I respect it. Yeah.
So we just put the dates up of the tour. It starts in February.
That's the, I'm going to tell you now, that's the old one.
Oh, is it?
All right. So the dates you got there are all right, apart from we've added today a third London show on June the 13th. There is a Dubai show that's been added on May the 11th as well. And a lot of those dates now, I'm flexing a little bit now. A lot of them dates now are sold out. So I'm happy. Do you know what I mean?
Everyone's flexing, you know what I mean? Well, hopefully I'll get to talk to you again during the tour, you know, it was happening, so we can update people. How do you get to find the right kind of venue? Because us as comics, we have to find the right kind of venue to suit our style of comedy. So when you approach a venue, is it very much, listen, this is who I am, or is it very much, this is my amount of followers I've got, this is what TV I've got, and then how do you find your venue?
I don't approach a venue with the idea of my followers. That means nothing to me in terms of the venue. It's more about knowing, one, if I can sell a decent amount of tickets in that city, then I should get a venue that can suit that. Not higher than, but maybe just a little lower than, so you can sell it out. And worst case, if you need to add another date, that's better than trying to fill out a venue and not filling it out. But the most important thing when looking for a venue for me is how the venue feels. Now, I don't always get the chance to do that. There are some cities that don't have, like, you'll know this, comedy venues that are like suited best for comedy. Some of the old jungler spots, terrible for comedy, but that's where they put them. So my first thing is look for a venue which suits comedy, and then look for a venue with a capacity that I can realistically fill. And if I'm honest, even though I may have a lot of followers online, that doesn't always translate to ticket sales. For some, like, you'll see comedians who only do comedy online can't sell tickets to a show in an area because, like, people don't feel like they could, like, they don't know what they're buying, because they might get sketches online. They try to do stuff on stage. They might like them on stage. Some of them are really popular and can do that, but others are like, it doesn't translate. So a lot of them may not come out to see them. A lot of them might be a younger crowd that don't necessarily want to pay to go and see comedy that they get to see for free online. Mine, because I did comedy before I started becoming popular on socials, I think my crowd accumulated mainly from stand-up. So I got to realistically go, how many of the followers are actually going to come out to see me do stand-up, i.e. because they've seen me online or because they've been there from before I was online, and I cater that number. It's not huge all the time. It might look good online, but it's not always huge. I mean, I'm doing the first date in Brighton. We've sold it out, but it's only 80 people. I'm not sitting there going, hey, Brighton, I've sold out Brighton. It's hundreds and thousands. It's just 80 people, but at least I know it's 80 people from Brighton that will come and see me. If I want to put on another one again, I could do it again in that room or go slightly bigger. But as long as the room suits comedy and as long as I confidently can fill that room without having to stress too much about trying to fill a massive auditorium just because my online presence says you got this number, it doesn't really work that way. Comedy set up first, and then can you fill it with your comedy followers second?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue the conversation on online on the YouTube. Quincy Presents. So we're going to come off 99.8. So please come across to Quincy Presents and comment in the group. And it's very iconic indirectly we having this conversation, because you are, I would say, the next generation down, but for myself as a comedian, and I'm very much getting used to the online persona. And I've been, for the last couple of years, well, since lockdown, really, I've had to really, but this is something that you've embraced for the longest while. You've embraced the presence, and you have been one of the first ones who really did do that. Is that because you saw the vision, or is that you just you are geekish?
Tech is always, I'm a tech geek. So embracing online isn't ever really difficult, but even still, trying to comfortably embrace online in terms of putting yourself out there, it wasn't easy. It took a minute. Like all the social media platforms that came out, for me, it was like I knew comedy to be on stage, and then seeing it transfer to sketches online, or to having to use online to promote your comedy more than using your comedy to promote people to follow you online. That took a minute for me, because even though I love tech and I understand technology, I was very traditional stand-up. It's like 14 years from next month that I've been doing this. So the first 6 years was very much just go and do comedy. I had that big viral clip nearly 10 years ago, the garage one. I wasn't even trying to go viral on that. That was like, it happened all authentically, and it made me see how powerful content online can be. But I never tried to do it to go viral, if that makes sense. Even up until now, I don't. If you stick to the core craft of what you do, but you also understand how like social media, how YouTube, how like content online works, that's a nice kind of balance between the two. But you should always focus on the quality of the content rather than how do I like make my content go viral. And I think the authenticity of what you putting out there comes from the quality of the content, or you doing comedy. But if you're chasing online, that's where you start to see all these content creators copying everybody else who's had maybe a viral success, and it all just starts to look the same. Like you follow an algorithm, you follow a theme of content. All the POV content now is popular. And I think if you chase that, you then are chasing the viral moment. But if it takes away from who you are as entertainer, then you're shortchanging yourself and the audience.
And 100%, man. It's I think viral footage goes viral when you just be yourself, and it's always someone else who posted it. So, as you mentioned, the garage clip which went viral,
Mega.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't post that clip. Did you post that clip?
No. So what happened was with that clip, I performed at the BBC. They had like a black comedy night run by some of the team members in there. Shout out to Clencher. Shout out to the team at BBC Radio London. And Eddie Nestor hosted it. It was just supposed to be a traditional comedy show, but they were going to take clips from it to put on their BBC website. One of them was my clip that was really good, that One Extra then took, and they posted that up on their Facebook page. Within hours, it was shared on Facebook. It was taken down from Facebook and put onto people's WhatsApp groups. People were reposting it on, I don't even remember if Instagram did videos back then, because they went from pictures to videos, but it was on loads of like WhatsApp group feeds. It was on loads of Facebook reposting feeds. And I think then afterwards, after about a year or two, Instagram did videos, and it went on to Instagram where people were putting the video up on that page. And then on Twitter, and it just went everywhere, because naturally like people were taking it from one page and putting it up. But it wasn't me who posted it up first. It was the BBC, particularly One Extra, who put it up on their page, and that's when it went viral. So it wasn't, I just had to catch up with everybody else going, oh, this is that garage video. Who's the comedian? Oh, that's him. And then they would follow my page from that. It was a really weird, time, because it was almost like I was watching someone become famous in real time, but it wasn't me, because I didn't control how it happened. I just watched this guy who I remember being in this video like just blow up because other people were reposting it, and that's what made the viral moment. Not so much me trying to go, here's my video, share it. It was just so naturally everybody else had shared it, but I'm watching everyone else share this going, that's me, but I don't even feel like that's me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember when I watched it, because I never saw you do it live before you do it live. Obviously, after that, but it went mad so quick, and it actually reminded me of a time which I done a video just naturally when I watched the World Athletic Championships in the Olympic Stadium when I commented on the Barbados relay team,
Yes.
and I sent it to Kojo, and he put it on his page, and
Yeah.
my phone was going ape shit, right? And I was like, what's going on? And I was getting phone calls, and but the difference between this is what I said. Me and Kane have spoken about this, where I feel that my generation of comics and before me missed that beat. I never. It was just my voice.
Yeah.
So you had to know who I am to actually. That's Quincy.
Yeah. I knew it was you. It's when they're running and you're like talking in an Asian accent as they're doing it and taking the mic. It's funny. I would know it's you, but then anyone else who doesn't see your face would be like,
right.
That's a funny voice.
And it was to the point where I saw it on a TikTok of a guy reenacting it. So how do you find that then when you get people? We're going to come back off the FM in a minute. How do you find that people take your material? Because this is similar to what Kat is saying. Take your material, which you have crafted and you have manufactured to your ability, and act it out and put it on TikTok. How does that make you feel?
Oh, that fine. Like there's never a part of me that feels a way about that, because the original, I mean, the culture on TikTok is that's what people do. They take a clip and they redo it because they hear the voice and they redo the clip. Because mine is stand up, like the listener has to know that it came from somewhere else initially. The listener has to know that this is a stand up clip of somebody that if I was to look for their stand up, I'd be able to find the original video. So if someone acts it out, it only pushes my original video. It doesn't happen that often though, because I think a lot of the people that repurpose other people's material want all the attention to be on them, which is, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing, but it's, if you're trying to get your followers up, you're not going to want everyone to go, that was good, let me bypass this and find the original. You want everyone to think it's you. So I don't see that as what Kat was saying with the material taking, because it's them taking something that they cannot pretend was them, because it's me on stage. Where people do take bits of content and then redo another video around it, and I've seen that happen. Luckily, I don't feel like it's happened to me that much, but I've seen it happen. I might be a bit tight for a minute, but then I also remember that as quickly as people remember, don't forget that I did a video. If it's that easy to copy, it's as quickly as they'll forget that person did that video as well. And I just go again and try and do more that is not easy to take and copy. Hard for me to say, because I'm not going to sit here and say my comedy is so prolific that nobody could have thought of it or nobody could have done it. But I also am on the side of, if your material is easy to take, then maybe it's time to dig into stuff that is harder because it's more authentic to you. Like I used to work as a children's entertainer. If somebody else went on stage and said, I used to work as a children's entertainer, I wouldn't necessarily believe them, because they may, like, it was authentically my story for a few years. If someone else has said, that's a funny joke, I'm going to do that, then it might be, like they're taking a joke of mine, which is like, it wouldn't feel authentic to them if they've never done it. So there's elements of jokes that I'm like, if I do something which is like topically, like for example, when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were going to have a child and everybody was talking about if the baby was going to come out with like black curly hair, etc. Is the baby going to start like grow up and teaching Prince Harry how to say wagwa, and all those kind of jokes that you would see they're very easy to grab. And it's not a bad thing that people do take them because it's topical, but it's hard to then say that's authentically mine, because there's so many people that can parallel think into making those jokes. But if there's something that's really authentic to me and then someone takes it, then it's fake. And I think that that's where you should go, is try to lean into what you can do that's more yours, as well as make the jokes you can that are very much, I put up a video yesterday. It was one of my old jokes about Destiny's Child. I've had that joke for nearly 10 years, maybe 11 years. As soon as I put it up, I've had a couple people message you, one or two. Oh, I've seen Eric Griffin do that joke. I'd never heard of Eric Griffin. He's an American comic who does well in America on the comedy club circuit and does podcasting now. I only know that from researching. And it's not the same joke. It's just similar references talking about very popular music, Destiny's Child music. Someone else had said they saw another comedian do something like that on a special. And all of a sudden it's like, then on TikTok, where TikTok will dig you out real quick, they were like, oh, I've seen many men try and talk about this on TikTok from not a comedy perspective, from a trying to be deep perspective about this men versus women kind of conversation. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, I'm glad it's one of my throwaway jokes, because if everyone else has kind of spoken about it or done it, I don't want to be one of the people that's done loads of the same stuff, if that makes sense. I just want to maybe have that bit of a joke. It's parallel thinking. I never took it from anybody. I just did what anyone else did, is listen and go, what kind of foolishness is this, and talk about it. But you just go, all right, well, if everyone can talk about it, put it to the side and kind of learn how to talk about other things that are more personal to me and my experiences. And I think those are the things that are harder for others to replicate or to take, because they're more authentic to you.
Your tour, the narrator tour, right? Throughout your time, for the length of time it's going on, there's going to be major stories which are going to change. So when you start it in February, by March, something else could happen. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it a tour which has a narrative, or is it a tour which is very much you're going to get what is currently happening at the time?
So there is a narrative. It starts off like being an orator is obviously what we do for a living, public speaking. The tour is about how I had to make myself have a wider perspective on things, because I was, after I finished my last tour, Green, and then after I took a break from comedy for 8 months in 2023, I needed to go and figure out why I didn't want to do comedy again, and then figure out what it is that I like about doing comedy and being able to discuss things on stage where we can talk and have a different perspective and then be funny. And the way that I did that is by I traveled. I took like 35 flights in 2023, like for work or for traveling back and forth, where to obviously the missus who lives in New York, or to go and do shows, or to just experience different places. And the orator is kind of the culmination of all of that, coming back and going, as different as we think we all are, all of us are actually very much the same. And this is me explaining why to everybody that I can, in a way that I know how, which is to be an orator, which is to be able to articulate things as a comedian, as a public speaker. So the theme is that it will change over time, because something might happen in the news, especially with what we could see happening right now. More might happen in the news that I may then be able to further articulate in the show. But there is a core kind of theme. I went around and traveled and learned so much about myself and people from different demographics, from different age groups, and then also what those different demographics and age groups see in me when I go traveling around, and this is what it is. So that's kind of the theme. But it may tweak as time goes along, because it's so many different shows and dates in different parts of the country that I'm going to pull things from where I'm at to be able to throw them in there, so I can at least deliver a show which isn't just reading off a script, but a bit more interactive for each city that I go to.
I'll be open when I ask you this next question. So as you mentioned, during the tour, there might be subject matters and situations which could happen, which you could tweak it. And obviously the tour is called narrator. You were very strong and very openly discussed mental health. And I remember you came on one of Kane's lives.
Yeah,
which I was,
we had a talk about me, you, and Kane. Yeah.
And you did. I mean, you didn't change my mind 100%, but you opened my eyes. But it was a beautiful moment. The fact of we had 3 black men speaking and having a different perspective of mental health.
Yeah.
And how it affects us comedy wise. And it was obviously at the back of the death of the dancer. And is mental health something that is really not so much the word appreciate is the wrong word, but us as comedians, do people really understand what we experience from a mental health perspective?
I think more recently, yes, but not for longer than maybe 4 or 5 years. I think everybody is now in this renaissance of understanding that mental health is something that needs to be discussed and people can be more open about. Women more so than men for a longer period of time, because by nature, women have come together as sisters, as friends, as girlfriends, as family, and been able to say, I can talk. Whereas men historically have been told, bring your feelings into a box, close it up, and just get on with it because you got other things that you have to do. So I think we'll start to see the renaissance with men being a lot more open with discussions around mental health because we've been allowed to recently. As a comedian, I think the discussion around mental health, I hear a lot of comedians kind of touch on it and talk about it. I think some of them would like to go deeper. Some of them say, I'm out here and I, mental health is real, suffer with depression. I might see a therapist, but they don't still go much deeper on the conversation about it because I think they're still trying to navigate it. And I understand that. But I chose to make a deep dive with my last special, Green, being completely about mental health and therapy and the effects of the things that happen that break you, things that you do to recover, and what going good looks like over a long period of time. It's definitely a conversation that needs to be had more and more, and there's never enough of the conversation in my eyes that where you go, it's too much. I think it only seems that way when people feel uncomfortable because it makes you feel vulnerable. But the conversation needs to happen a lot more with, especially people in our field, because we're always seen as the people to help others when they're down by making them laugh. But it's almost like who counsels the clown when the clown needs a smile, who lifts his spirits up. There is what's the joke again? I can't remember the name of the clown, but the clown that went to go and seek help and see therapy. And the therapist, after reading the symptoms, says, go and see this clown. He's great. He'll lift your spirits up.
Krusty.
And the clown, not Krusty, no. It's not Krusty, though. No, it's an actual story of a clown that does this.
Oh,
and then
sorry. I apologize. I wasn't listening, Mission. I thought we were at the Simpsons, the clown.
No. There's a story of an actual clown that does this. He goes, I want to seek help. I need my feeling low. I need some upliftment. And then the doctor gives him a diagnosis and then says, go and see this act. He's great. He's fantastic. You'll love him. And then the guy who's the guy who needs the help goes, but that's me. As in, I'm the person who you're diagnosing to go and see. So it's almost like he's lost. How am I supposed to help myself if I'm feeling low and I'm here helping making everybody else laugh? That is a massive thing with us. We have a thing. We have that come down period after a show where we just don't want to talk to no one. The adrenaline's gone up and then gone down, and we feel low. And sometimes, for a lot of comedians, that low point is where they struggle, and that's why a lot of them maybe go home to their missus, or some of them don't go home and go to somewhere else to link up with girls or whatever. Some drink, some do stuff. It's that low point because we haven't been able to manage or been taught how to manage those low points. We then struggle and suffer, and that imbalance of going up and down all the time is what can crack us. And I think that's what you see with a lot of our peers who seem to be good on stage and they're low at other points. I think I'm only talking to comedians, but when I say all this, but mental health, the conversation around mental health should be discussed a lot more. And I did make that promise to myself in my last special and the mid special that I did called Greener, where I'm talking about, am I better than where I was because of my therapy, because of all the things that I did during the time that I did Green. Those two specials that I did were important for me to put out there. So one was, I was struggling. This is what I did to help myself. I really preached that therapy helps me. I really preached that looking at things that you can do to better yourself physically and mentally are the ways to go. And then the next one I did, Greener, which is like the mid special, was me going and let me look back to see if I'm in a better place than I was last year. And for me, that's 2 hours of content about therapy and mental health. I definitely can see the changes from those two to where I'm at now. So yeah, it definitely needs to be discussed more openly. And not everyone has to hear it. Not everyone has to take it on board. But even me talking to you when you said you heard some perspectives, it didn't change your mind completely. That's all that's needed, is that you can hear why somebody might need that help. Because even if you don't go through it, you might bump into someone else one day that says, I'm struggling. And you might go, well, you can come to the gym with me. I know Aurie said that, you know, talking to someone helps. There's many routes. And that's the advancement of that discussion in my eyes, is just the option to speak where people felt like they couldn't for a long time.
It was beautiful, man. Would you say comedy, being on stage is therapy for you? For us. I'm gonna say us.
All right. So it used to be. It used to be for me. For us, I think for a lot of us, it's great. But I don't choose to use it as therapy. It used to be. I think it's bad when I say that me working to make other people laugh is therapy for me, whereas I'm not really looking at what's making me laugh and smile. So I used to feel like being on stage validated me as a man, as a comedian, because I'm making people laugh, I'm controlling a room, I'm expressing confidence, and I'm making money. I was like, yeah, that's me. But when I come off stage, when there's times, for example, COVID, there's times where there's just a week off from comedy in January, it gets quiet for a lot of comedians. Am I supposed to then feel like I haven't got my therapy because I'm not on stage, or that I haven't got I'm not in a happy place because I'm not working? I shouldn't. So for me, I had to change my thinking and go that comedy is great when you receive it as well as when you give it, but it can't be my go-to for therapy, because I'm then too busy focusing on working for other people's validation to make me feel valid, as opposed to what is it in my life that I can look at and go, this is why I'm happy. And it doesn't have to be working for other people. It doesn't have to be chasing the money, chasing the laugh. There are other things in life that should be able to make you happy, and understanding that is just as important as making other people happy. So I had to change my thinking on what being on stage was like for me. It's a passion that I love doing. And I mean, I will never stop wanting to make people laugh, but it can't be my reason to be happy. Whereas when I'm not doing it, I'm not happy, or I'm not counseled, or I'm not validated. I can't lean into that being the thing. It should be one of many things that I can look at and go, this is why my life is good, because I have a job that allows me to express my passion, that allows me to make people laugh, that I can get paid for, that I enjoy. And it's one of the many things that go, and these are why I'm a happy person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. But got a few more minutes, yeah, because it's we can do ages, as I said to our previous guest, but I'll get on. Are so interesting as characters, and I always want people to see a different side to us as comedians, because people think that we are the clowns. We are just like
Yeah.
There were sometimes I just want to say, mate, you need to jog on. Leave me alone.
Oh, and you should tell people I'm not here to make you laugh right now if I'm not working, because I got to look after me. You should be allowed to say that.
Yeah, 100%. So, look, as we talk about that, so as much as we address sensitive topics as comedians, right, we are competitive as the circuit. So currently in America, black comics are coming at each other like it's like battle scars. Yeah, it's like a rap scene, and everybody's calling at each other. We've just had Dave Chappelle and
Cat
on
Williams.
stage, Cat Williams,
no.
and
D-Ray was on stage with
D-Ray and all that. Can you ever see us in the UK getting to the point where we're at each other's throats like the Americans?
Not like the Americans. The Americans are a lot more brazen and open. We have an insidious kind of like talk about you but not to you mentality in the UK, where I mean, there are comedians that have been attacking each other, like one or two of them very popular for doing that on like their social media. And the way that the attack happens is not founded in a genuine, I want to come at you because what you've done. It's I want to come at you because I don't like your progression. I'm a hater, or I don't want to say I'm a hater. I'm not happy with where I'm at now. You've seen that happen a few times. When stuff like that happens, it doesn't come from a competitive place. It doesn't come from you are a comedian, and though I don't like your comedy or what you do, I respect that you do comedy. It comes from a place of I want to bring you down and I want to elevate myself. And when that happens, that's It's different. I don't mind going in a boxing ring and fighting for somebody who's fighting me on equal terms, so we can then outdo each other because we're both here to get the bag. But what I'm not going to do is, while I'm not in the ring at the moment, call the police on the match so no one can get their money from the fight, if that makes sense. Like what some people did rave days, where another rave's going on, rather than competing, going, your rave's big, I'll make mine bigger, they go, I'll call the police and shut down your rave to stop your food so I can eat my food. That's not competitiveness, that's hating. I think in America, you're seeing a healthy kind of reaction to people who may be frustrated and happy to go on platforms and say, this is what it is, and put themselves in the face of it to go, hey, and I'm the one saying it, giving a chance for everybody else to rebuttal in their own way. And it's like a healthy kind of rap battle. It's good for the scene when it comes from a place where it's not necessarily I'm trying to stop your food, it's I'm trying to show you what level of comedy I want the scene to be at. Like if this is comedy, I want you to be called out for the things that you might not be doing on a comedy, from a comedy angle. And if it's me wanting to be better than you at a show, I want to be better than you at a show. That's healthy. I've seen it here where it can be insidious at times. And some would say what Cat did was insidious. There's a degree of insidiousness maybe to it that might be a level of, bitterness that comes from where his position is. But Americans can handle it a lot better because they all have the platform to go, hey, I've seen it where people don't have a platform and you've got somebody punching down to stop that person from rising. I've seen it where people are up and they go, I want to drag you down because I want to rise higher, as opposed to I want to drag you down to where you're at because we need to talk at this level. It's a weird one. I think it can happen in the UK, but I don't think the UK is necessarily rap battle, comedian battle ready like America is. We've seen rap battles in the UK kind of popping up, but nowhere near the level of in America. In America, them rap people can be the most disrespectful and shake hands afterwards. I've seen comedy roasts in this country where I've done a few where people have an issue with me after the roast for the things that I've said, where that's what I was supposed to say. I've had to have this mentality with even roasting that if we don't have a good relationship, I won't roast you. And I learned that from having a relationship I thought was good, roasting someone and going, that actually wasn't in a healthy space. So maybe I shouldn't have roasted you. It's almost like our feelings here are hurt, but then quiet, as opposed to the overtness of going, I never liked that, man. And I'm telling you why I don't like this, and them not thinking necessarily that I'm just hating because of where you're at, but because I don't like something that you've done and said. I don't know if I'm not saying I want to see everyone beef him. I'm not that person, but I do like the healthy conversation around like what should or should not be done in the scene with each other, saying it to each other, or having a platform to talk at each other without it necessarily being aggressive beef, without it being like, if I had an issue with that's something you did, Quincy, I should be able to talk to you directly. Or if I feel I need to talk to everybody, you should be involved, like how we're doing it now, that we could talk and say, I never liked that, Quincy. Nah, the way you did this, nah, brother. And it should be healthy that when we come off of this call, we could still go, I never liked it, but we're still cool because we're comedians and we're colleagues. It's that mentality, that brotherhood or sisterhood should be there, where you can call someone out who's your brother or your sister in a way that you can see that I'm not trying to stop your food, but I'm trying to say, come on, do better. And I don't know if we're there yet here, because it's such a fragile scene where any little thing can make us feel like that's stopped us from progressing. In America, you've got so many different avenues to progress in comedy and voiceovers and acting, in animation, in like even just within your own community. Whereas here, everyone's fighting for that little food on the table. And I think that makes it harder for us to feel like we can attack anyone, or not attack, sorry, that we can criticize or pull up people without it feeling like it's a massive attack trying to hinder our career. We're not there yet, but hopefully one day it can be done in a friendly way. And everyone should be able to see that we could put each other up as friends and as comedy brethren. That's how I see it.
What I've done, the carnival scene, as you know, as a radio presenter, I haven't said bye on the FM. It's just come off. So what I'm going to do, right, Aurie, I didn't even get to talking about DC and Marvel.
And Marvel, yeah.
But look, because just for the listeners, 2 more minutes. This brother here, there's only two people I call when it comes to superheroes.
Me and Booker.
You and Booker. Yeah, and I will call you randomly because it's like to find out that this guy is out there who like Marvel and DC, and just to talk to us like I can't call Kane or Slim. They're my pet or Mr. They look at me like, Bridget, how old are you, son?
Yeah, like, they don't get it. They don't get it, man. Well, the thing is, surely they must get it now because you've liked it from you as a kid. And look how big Marvel and DC are mainstream-wise now. Surely they must get that there was something in there that people can say it's not just a kiddies thing. It's a big man kind of industry, hence why you've got big man actors and big movies being in these kind of films. They must see it now.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, look, I've teamed up with an organization the studio is there, but it's just waiting to be connections and BT and internet. And they deal with, like, I know you are into gaming and I know you do the digital side. And the organization is called Urban NBA. Yeah. Okay. Urban NBA, and they deal with quantum computing. So and they deal with teaching people courses and stuff like that. But one of the courses and one of the modules is about gaming. So look, depending on your time, I'd love to get you on to talk about gaming.
Love to. Yeah,
because
definitely that's me.
It opened my eyes. I took it for granted. It opened my eyes that how the amount of money involved in gaming.
More money in the gaming industry than any other industry on this planet in terms of consumer industries. Like it used to be like movies and stuff. There's more money in gaming than there is movies. Like games now are so cinematic that there are people that will sit down and watch the cutscenes from games on YouTube back to back because they're just like movies. They are like God of War is like a movie. Spider-Man, the games, a movie. Like you're watching all of these things happen and you're invested because there's such a cinematic element to it, as well as it's still being interactive with some of the games. And then there's a whole culture of people that compete against each other for money. There are people that are millionaires off of just competing with gaming worldwide. It's crazy. It's a huge industry.
Yeah, definitely. Aurie, thank you so much, my friend. I will be in touch. I've always, like I told you, I love what you do. You always think out of the box, and what I love about you is that you've just continued. You haven't followed the algorithms on the circuit.
No, you can't.
You can't do that. You know what I'm saying? And I identify with you because me coming from, I'm more popular on the mainstream than I am our circuit. You know what I mean? And I during times I allowed that to get to me, but I said, you know what? I've got to be myself, and people can't accept me for I am. And one of the things, Marlon Wayans, he was asked a question: are there such things as gatekeepers? And I would say you have never allowed gatekeeping to deter you to where you are. And I take innovation to following people like yourselves and the Baberton days. Even though you come after me, you keep me young. So yeah, so cheers.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Do you know, it's crazy that, because I look at you guys as the ones who kind of formulated the circuit we work on. And yeah, there is a level to us now where we may have elevated because of the opportunities that have come, but none of us would be able to do any of this if there wasn't those who are on the ground. You, the Angie Lamars, the Eddies, the Robbies, like all of the kind of the pioneers, that the John Simmons, who from any angle of putting on shows or performing at shows, like there wasn't a black voice in this country for comedy until all of you said we're going to do our thing. And the amount of people that came out to see you, like we see that. We go to like Comedy Store and see like posters of the shows that you all were on. And it's in the era before we even could conceive what comedy is. And we hear sometimes that we're doing really good things and so on and so forth. And it's only the people that see us now, but it came from a place where we look up to our, like, I don't want to call you elders because that sounds like you're old, but we look up to the original people in the scene that were doing all the groundwork for us to be able to work where we are. So thank you. I'm glad you see our side, but all of us, you ask me, the Bubbers, the Axels, the Mo's, any of us in this scene, we'll all be able to name you and to name the others that are around you to go, if it weren't for them lot, we would have to be grafting now for what they did then. And we're so thankful for that. Genuinely.
All right, look, let's leave it there, man. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna get now. I've seen your mic. I'm gonna change my mic, and then
yo, you don't want to see the rest of the studio. This is a. There's a whole studio set up in here, which I wish I could show you because the cameras is there, but it's where I do my podcast. It's a whole studio in here, man.
Yeah, I just saw your mic, and I'm saying, let me get this is a proper old school fan man mic. This is like really.
Yeah. Yo. That one, isn't it?
Super zing. Yeah. Good luck at the tour. I'll be in touch anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'll be in touch.
Nice one.
So this, yeah.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Bless up.
Yeah. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the show. Mr. Aurie Styla is going to be logging off. It's been a blessing.